Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of 5 Minute Major Radio. Dave here, along with Matt Mastriavani. Matt, how's it going tonight?
It's going well. It's going well.
Good. We got a nice little pod here now that Flyers hockey is officially back. Of course, the Flyers do play later this evening. In about 40 minutes in good old Calgary, Alberta, against the Flames, with like a Tuesday 9 p.m. matchup for all of us who have to wake up early in the morning for work. Fantastic.
Yep.
Uh, But Matt, overall, it's been a good start to the year. Obviously, we touched on the Flyers' win over in Prague, the season opener, and then they came home to the home opener game we were present at, not a big deal, and thoroughly pounced all over the New Jersey Devils in a 4-0 win. So we're going to address that in a second. Overall, we're also going to give our thoughts on the Vancouver game Saturday night, which loser point. We'll see how it goes. A new addition to the roster was made officially today, and some demotions of the roster were made yesterday. And then overall, just our feelings going ahead into tonight's game, and then some miscellaneous stuff around the league. But of course, Matt, now touching on that trouncing of the had the best offseason New Jersey Devils, who are 0-4-2, by the way, and a terrible hockey team like yours truly said they would be. Matt, if you just want to, we can delve right into our thoughts about that home opener, and I'll let you start before I kind of give my feelings on it.
All right. Well, after I cough, man, what a way to come back to the States and just get a huge, unreal, fun, electric, unreal W in front of the home crowd in the home opener. I mean, what a game! What an atmosphere! If you didn't know by now, Carter Hart got his first career NHL shutout. And the Flyers are also no longer doing chicken biscuits when they score 4 goals. So rest in peace to the chicken biscuits from Chick-fil-A. No free ads. But they
Now it's
also have a
waffle
new
fries,
goal
right?
song. Yeah, waffle fries. But new goal song, which I was hoping for because the other one I was A, sick of, and B, didn't really like at all. But what a way to get things rolling at the Wells Fargo Center by giving us a 4-0 trouncing, I think you said, of the
Yes,
Devils.
trouncing. Big vocabulary here,
Off
5
season
Major
doesn't
Radio.
count for much if you can't win a game, so, but
It's true.
what a game, and it was a hell of a time. Obviously, we were both in attendance. Season ticket holder for you, not a big deal. Appreciate you bringing me along, but what a game! I was so excited.
Dude, it was a fantastic game. Big shout out thanks to our friends at the Pigeon Coop for hosting a tailgate in not so great weather that we went down there intended for. They gave us a shout out on their page, and let's just say some big things could be coming potentially between a collaboration between the two of us. So everyone should keep an eye out for that. And yeah, just reiterate, if I can speak English, Matt, Jesus, what you said about the atmosphere at the Wells Fargo Center. It's been years since I've seen the building like that, at least going back to 2012. And I've seen other games since 2012. I was at the game in Hackstall's second year where the Flyers clinched it, or was that his first year? They clinched a playoff spot in March against the Penguins. I was at that game.
Yeah, I think that was.
And we both been at some other games. We were both at Carter Hart's first career NHL start last season. But man, that arena, that atmosphere, the Wells Fargo Center was truly sold out for the home opener. There was a lot of hype around it, and the players showed up to play. Travis Konechny kept rolling. Kevin Hayes looked good. G had a really good game. Ivan Provorov had a fantastic blast from the point to get things rolling. The Flyers.
Hayes got his first as a Flyer.
Kevin Hayes got his first. The Flyers. They kept their foot on the pedal they played a full, complete hockey game. Yep. And for once didn't let up. It was 0, I believe it was 0-0 after the first, correct? It was anyone's game.
Yeah, yep.
And then for a while it was 1-0.
Yeah, it was 1-0 most of the second period.
And then the Flyers kill off not just one, but 2 5-on-3 power plays against, and Carter Hart arguably makes the best save of the 2019-2020 NHL season in net, robbing Taylor Hall on a 5-on-3, which the whole Wells Fargo Center then proceeded to stand up and give him a standing ovation during play. If that save doesn't happen, we could be talking about a completely different game. Then it's 1-1 heading into the third period, and who knows? And the Flyers came out in the third period, and they definitely put the pedal to the metal, and they kicked ass and took names. There was no they were determined to win that hockey game, and it was quick succession. Hayes scored, then Couturier scored, both on the power play. The penalty kill was phenomenal. It was just overall an atmosphere in a game that you saw what Alain Vigneault can bring with his systems. And I'm pretty sure the media asked Coach V after the game, how did you like the Flyers play in your system tonight? And he said, well, it's not perfect yet. And my instant thought is, well, if it's not perfect yet and they're playing like that, imagine what this team will be looking like when it is now. That all being said, the Flyers have only played 3 games, and there's a lot of optimism around this team right now. But we still, like Matt, you've said, we have to have this cautious optimism because it's still only October. They've still only played 3 games. If you include the Vancouver game, they're playing their 4th tonight. But yeah, just overall good vibes. And then, just everyone left the Wells Fargo Center with this static electricity around the building. People were chanting, "Let's go Flyers," as we're leaving the building, going down the escalator. Like, it almost felt like it had a playoff atmosphere. And that's something that the city and this team desperately needs. But Matt, unless you have any more to add on about the home opener, we can move on to kind of Saturday night's game in good old Vancouver, British Columbia.
I just have a couple more points, but I just have to reiterate, like you said, I just haven't felt that sort of electricity and just excitement in the Wells Fargo Center for so long. Like, I had people, like friends of mine, like one of the guys I work with is like more than twice my age, and he's like, it's never been like that in that arena. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, dude, like, it's been like that, but not for at least like 5 or 6 years, like few and far between. It's been like that in the recent years, but it's like that was the first time in so long that I can remember that like it was that like just that loud, that electric, that like that crazy in that arena for a home opener nonetheless. But I mean, the fans were what's it called? The fans were showing their passion, bringing the noise, all that, and then the Flyers obviously responded. They harnessed that energy, came out strong, and took the Devils by the horns, and never let go. So, and then 2 more things. Just the player intros at the beginning was a little cringeworthy.
A little weak.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cringeworthy because like. If like being there obviously made it look worse than it probably was on TV, but like having all the players stand around the center ice circle and just like panning the camera to each one when you announce them was like yikes. But
I mean, I guess it was quicker since they're running on time.
It's quicker, and like I guess not everyone wants to do the same type of thing when they have to introduce 20, 21, 22 guys, but. Yeah. I just found that to be a little funny where it was like, yikes, like this is a tough look right now. Also, I told you this at the game, but the guy next to me almost jinxed the shutout because the Flyers scored. I think they scored their 3rd goal, and the guy next to me told his girlfriend was sitting next to him, or just exclaimed out loud, like, "Hey boys, let's effing shut them out now." And I was like, oh my god, this guy just jinxed it. Like, I was like legit like in my head just pissed off because this guy said it, and I was hesitating to even think about it. I was like, I was not letting myself think about a shutout, and then like as time wound down in the 3rd period, like it's just getting like little by little you're like, like this could happen. And like I remember like with a minute left, I was tapping you, and you're like, what? I'm like, he's gonna get it. Like, I was so hyped. Like, but it was awesome to see that in person. We both saw Hart's first career start and first career win last season, and now we've seen his first career shutout. So, we're like a proud a proud progressive dad couple. But but it was just awesome overall. What a game! But it's time to move on to the Vancouver game.
Real
I'd
quick,
say.
I had one more thing to add on. Wayne Simmons it was his
How did we
return
forget about this?
because he's a traitor now and a New Jersey Devil. But he had a very nice touching tribute. I can definitely tell it maybe got to him a little bit emotionally. But it was a very nice. It wasn't your typical. There he is in Matt's
I got him.
background. That'll be for our YouTube and Facebook viewers later to see. But it was a nice tribute. You know, it wasn't the typical usual tribute video. They played some highlights, but then in the background of the highlights, they had quotes from Robert Hagg, from Shane Gostisbehere, from Jake Voracek, from Claude Giroux, Travis Konechny, Nolan Patrick. The future of the present and the future of this team. Telling the person recording, telling the fans what Wayne Simmons meant to them, meant to this team, meant to this city. So I thought that was a really cool, and he got an almost 2-minute standing ovation.
Yeah.
I, of course, as advertised and promised, said I will stand up and cheer, but I'm booing him the rest of the night. And I think I might have been the slight majority of people who booed him. They were definitely booing PK Subban.
Yeah.
As he gets booed every time he returns to Philadelphia because of his comments back when he was with the Canadians and Mike Richards was on the team.
But I feel like they gotta let that go at this point.
They do gotta let that go, but you're gonna boo the superstars. And now that PK Subban's on the New Jersey Devils, he's gonna get booed at the Wells Fargo Center.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of booing for Wayne Simmons. I think his next return to Philadelphia, I think there'll be more just because now it's his return's over and now he's truly like the enemy.
Yeah.
But only time will tell. Who knows if he's even he's only on a 1-year deal, and if the Devils if he plays well and the Devils keep on being the absolute pile of hot garbage that they are already in a hot pile of garbage city in Newark, New Jersey. Who knows if Wayne Simmons.
That's how you really feel.
Yeah, I mean it's Newark, New Jersey. Who cares? I'll be there November 1st for the Fans of Philly trip to go watch the Flyers Devils game, and we actually get our pictures taken on the ice afterwards, so not a big deal. Yeah, so who knows if he even will be there come the trade deadline? Because if he's playing well and has a resurgence, the Devils are absolute crap. He could be a guy who could be easily traded. But we can touch on the Devils a little bit later on the show. I think now we should move on to the highlights of Saturday night's game, which I have to admit was a late one. I was out partying a little bit with because our last guest on last week's episode, Matt Mastrogiovanni. Sorry, Matt Hoagland. You're my current the co-host here. Man, I am rattled. But Matt Hoagland, as everyone knows him, Hoagie, got engaged last Saturday, so congratulations are in order to him.
Hey.
He got the word out actually to a lot of people about our podcast. So I was at the engagement party. I was expanding our brand a little bit and having people actually talk to me about the podcast, which was a first for me, which was really cool knowing that people said, hey, we're listening now. We've subscribed and we're getting the word out. So thank you to everyone who listened, and we'll definitely have Hoagie again on soon. But Matt, your overall thoughts on the shootout loss 3-2 to the Vancouver Canucks late Saturday evening / early Sunday morning?
Yeah, a little bit. So I think I'm gonna kind of echo and paraphrase a quote that Vigneault said after the game, where I forget who quoted him and where I saw it, so I can't really give proper credit, but he said that there basically wasn't much to not like about that loss, because I did watch the whole game, and they played well. The Canucks came out hard. Obviously, they scored first. The Canucks are a team that are looking to get back into the elite of the NHL. So, they're going to try and make some noise this year with guys like Besser back on the squad, Elias Peterson, however you want to say it, Quinn Hughes, but they're not a team to overlook, too. So, the Flyers definitely had to keep the momentum from that home opener going on this first game of their Western road trip. But, like I said, they played well most of the game. Vancouver held them to a goal in the second period, and then the Flyers actually tied the game, I think. Let me just check the box score here.
Carson Tawinski got his first square goal.
Yeah, so...
in the second period, I believe.
Who scored? Oh, yeah, so Lindblom scored on the power play, actually, with about with just under 5 minutes left in the game. So they made it a game. Obviously, they got the loser point, which sucks, and then they also lost in the shootout, which again sucks because it comes down to a skills competition. Both teams had some good chances in overtime. Again, no one scored, and then it went to the shootout. But like I said, there wasn't really much to not like about that game. They played almost as well as they did against the Devils. Again, I can imagine that there might be some aspect of fatigue where they go from Czech Republic all the way back to Philadelphia for one game, and then all the way out to Vancouver to start a 3-game Western Canada road trip. So, but I think you'd mentioned this where Fletcher actually wanted this to happen this early so that the team could bond more, which is good because, I mean, there's new faces, all that stuff. So them being on the road, obviously, us knowing how that all works, you come together as a team when you're on the road. So, and like I said, they did that for the most part. They kept Vancouver off the score sheet on the power play. The Flyers were 1 for 3 on the power play. They actually outshot them, too. The Flyers had 32 shots as opposed to Vancouver's 24. So, I mean, it's just one of those games where, I mean, you can't win them all, obviously. And it's just they got the point. It's not like they got blown out or they didn't. It wasn't for lack of trying. So they made it a game. They took it the distance and just fell short. I mean, the Flyers being the Flyers, of course they would lose in a shootout, but like a game like that, you can't really be mad at it, like I said, because having watched all of it and seeing what I saw, there's really not much to take from it negative wise.
Yeah, and overall, unfortunately, I did fall asleep, I think right before Limbaum scored. But I did watch the highlights later on. And, overall, I mean, based on what I saw in the highlights, Carter Hart didn't play a bad game. Overall, the Flyers played a pretty good game. I mean, Brock Besser's goal was a sick save by Hart, and because of the sickness of his save, the rebound was a little bit juicy, and Besser scores while he's falling down. Vancouver's no slouch of a team. I feel as though a lot of people have the Vancouver Canucks written off when they've got a lot of good key young pieces. And Jacob Markstrom's a pretty good Swedish goaltender, and then their backup Thatcher Demko, and he's probably their goalie of the future. And then they also have Michael DiPietro as a top goalie prospect with the Utah Comets right now. So Vancouver is definitely a team on the rise. Bo Horvat's their freshly named captain. He's a hell of a player. Kind of similar to Sean Couturier. But overall, the Flyers played well. And unfortunately, in Flyer fashion, losing a shootout, but Travis Sanheim hits the post in the last minute. We could have been easily talking about literally a walk-off 3-2 victory for the Flyers. Instead, they go the full distance, losing the shootout. You get the loser point. It's against, a Western Conference opponent. So it helps both teams out in the standings because it's not to a division rival. So really, it sucks that they didn't get the extra point, but that one extra point could help them later on in standings. Overall, nothing too shabby to complain about other than the fact that they lost, but it was a 3-2 shootout loss on a Saturday night to the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, and I mean,
we see the Canucks one more time this year at home in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And then the only other time we'd meet them again would be in the Stanley Cup final, per se, if that were to happen.
Yeah.
So, who knows? But overall, I got really no negative thoughts. I'm sure if I was able to watch the entire game and really nitpick at it, there might be something that stood out to me. But based on watching the in-depth, 5-minute highlights on NHL.com, sorry for the free ad there, there's nothing really that stood out too bad except for the loss.
No, yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that. But I mean, the first loss had to come at some point. I guess in a weird way, you can't really ask for a better loss where you play really well, like we said, you take it the distance in a shootout and you just fall short. So I mean, can't go 82-0, but it was fun while it lasted to be undefeated. But
unbeknownst to that Verizon Wireless commercial the Flyers had years ago, where they went 82-0 and had those ridiculous beards. I don't know if you remember that. That's a throwback commercial right there.
And that was the same thing with Ovechkin, the curse, the Ovech trick.
999.
Yeah. So, but and again, just to touch on it again, Carson Turinsky did get his first NHL goal. So good for him. Hopefully more to come.
Yeah,
He's on the line.
the kid's been a beast so far.
Yeah, I think AV really loves him.
You
I
know,
mean, he obviously earned his spot. Hopefully, he keeps working hard and just he'll keep prospering up here.
was anytime third round pick, I'm pretty sure he was. Anytime, a third round pick on makes the NHL, it's kind of like good on your scouts and your GM regime. And
Yeah.
that was a Ron Hextall era pick. So, as much as Ron Hextall may be viewed in a negative light now in this city, he did a lot of good things for this team. And Carson Twarynski could be one of those, he could diamond in the rough. Um, so overall, and of course, another feel-good story. I'm not sure if we touched on it last week's episode, but for those who watched the finale of Behind the Glass last night on NHL Network, Chuck
Spoiler
Fletcher.
alert.
Spoiler alert for those who are watching, although I'm pretty sure it was already spoiled before the episode aired because all the beats retweeted it like crazy.
Yeah.
But Chuck Fletcher called down Carson, I think the morning of or the day before the game against the Blackhawks in Prague. Said, "Hey, can you come down to the lobby? I want to talk to you." And Twarynski just looked nervous as all hell. He's like, "Oh crap!
Yeah. I
Day of the
can't even
game.
imagine.
I'm
I
getting
can't
called
even
out by my
imagine
GM
that.
to the lobby. Like, am I being sent back home to the States?" And he walks in the lobby and sees his parents who flew in, took the red eye from Calgary to the Prague, Czech Republic. So just kind of a feel-good moment. Just hockey seems to have those a lot. So good for Carson, and hopefully he can keep on playing well on this third line because I really, really like this tonight. The third line is going to be jumping a little bit ahead here, but tonight the third line is actually going to be Lawton with Twarynski and Jake Voracek. So look for that line maybe to be a good spark tonight. JVR got promoted to get him going with I believe with Hayes and G tonight is the top line.
Yeah, we'll go over that in a minute.
Yeah, so overall, good for Twarynski. Hope he can keep it up. But of course, Matt, now moving forward to the present, yesterday there was a demotion made. Andy Welinski, who the Flyers signed as a free agent this past summer, whom everyone had penciled in for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, finally got cleared healthy enough to be a playable player, was placed on waivers and thus cleared, and now has made his way to the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, which then left the Flyers with a little bit under $1 million in cap space and a player who had been with this team since about end of August. Chris Stewart signed a 1-year, one-way NHL contract. Roughly, I believe it was roughly about $700K. Matt, I believe.
Chris Stewart.
Yeah, Chris Stewart.
$750K.
Not too shabby. And overall, and of course, then Flyers Twitter proceeded to lose their collective shit. But overall, Matt, we can give our thoughts on the Chris Stewart signing. But based on what Chris Stewart saw in my eyes, I was very, very critical of him at first because I'm not gonna lie, he had a very rough first 2 preseason games with the Flyers. But then as the preseason got along, his play improved, and you saw what he can bring on a fourth line. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to have the PTSD that the majority of this fan base has from Ron Hextall and Dave Haxtell thinking, oh crap, Chris Stewart's going to be a top 6 forward now because of what happened to players like Yuri Laterra and Chris Vandevelde and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, players of those likes. It seems like this new regime is going to use Chris Stewart in a bottom 6 role, fourth line, maybe third line winger if need be in a pinch. And he brings the good size and element of toughness that this roster didn't really have unless you have Sam Morin in the lineup. And overall, Sam Morin's still a rookie, and he's going to be on defense, so how much toughness and grit he can add from the back end and not be a liability is kind of an issue. Whereas you throw Chris Stewart on the fourth line right wing, and he plays, 6, 7, 8 minutes a night, gets some good hits in, and the dude still can play a little bit. He's got some good hands. If he can be smart, he can be a really good addition. And also, I believe he's 44% in his career in the shootout. He's got unreal numbers overall for his entire career. He at one point was a 20-goal scorer and, was there in that 50, 60-point region for a couple seasons with the Colorado Avalanche back in his rookie years on his earlier career. So overall, he could be a player that could even help out the Flyers in a shootout. If something goes down and he's got those numbers, hopefully I'm not mistaken. I saw that a lot on Twitter today. 44% in the shootout's pretty damn good, and puts him as one of the, if not the best, one of the best shootout players on this roster. So I mean, a lot of people are comparing and saying, well, I'd rather have Myers or I'd rather have Farabee up here. If Phil Myers, yes, he's better than
Send Moran down.
Well, he has to clear waivers, and it seems the Flyers don't want to do that. They don't want to risk losing him to waivers. And Phil Myers, if he's here, I want him playing over Robert Hague and Sam Moran. I want him being our fifth defenseman, not even the sixth. And also then using that spot for Joel Farabee. Well, Joel Farabee is not going to benefit from getting 6, 7, 8 minutes, fourth line minutes in the NHL. Right now, what you want Joel Farabee doing is being an elite dominant player in the American Hockey League, getting line 1 minutes, power play 1 minutes. And, Matt, I'm sure you've seen the highlight as everyone else in the hockey world. The goal he scored against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins for his first career pro goal was fantastic, and he's been dominating the American Hockey League. And I'd rather have him doing that with the Phantoms, playing with Morgan Frost and Isaac Ratcliffe, and maybe that could be a future line for the Flyers in the future. I'd rather have him developing, getting his confidence, and then if something happens in the middle of the year where the Flyers need to call upon him and he can get called up and be in your top 9 to be a productive forward, awesome. So at the moment, am I ecstatic that Chris Stewart's on this team? No, but we've had worse players on this team before, and Chris Stewart, if used right, can still be a useful player. Matt, what are your thoughts on the signing?
I have a lot of thoughts about this. This might not go in a necessarily linear order, but the first thing I'll say is that just Flyers Twitter is just a bunch of noise. Obviously, there are people that know what they're talking about. There's people that I trust. There's people whose opinions I respect and also pay attention to. But everyone else, I couldn't care less. I could care less. I couldn't care less because I don't care at all about what they're saying. Because, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you have to trust them at this point. I think they made the right move, as much as I don't want to say it. And I'm not indifferent about this signing. I like it. I don't love it. I like it. It's good because, I mean, like you said, the Flyers need a guy who can bring that physical presence on the ice, maybe protect a couple of the younger guys, light a fire under guys' asses if they need to fight or if they need to step it up in a game at some point, big hit, something like that. But I just block out the noise with all that, where you could tell this was basically a powder keg waiting to explode when they tweeted this. Frank Saravalli was the first guy that I saw tweet about it today, and then I obviously texted
Local
you.
boy Frank Saravalli.
Yeah, and even the Flyers Twitter had to basically justify them signing. So listen to this. So this is from the Flyers Twitter. This is the tweet that made the signing official. It says, "Done deal, : It's a 1-year, one-way contract for Chris Stewart's Twitter handle, which is @cstew_7.
Good follow for all those who want to follow him on Twitter.
But then they, like I said, they have to justify why they signed him, which they shouldn't have to in the first place. It's a team decision. They don't care what we say. Oh, don't sign him. Oh, that one guy on Twitter said that he sucks and only had 12 points in a British league last year. Don't sign him. Release him now and put him in Don't do that because all the Twitter is angry. No, screw that. But anyway, my rant aside, so the rest of the
Matt,
tweet,
what you're saying is the Flyers don't care what we have to say?
No, I don't think so.
Damn it.
Which is fine with me. But again, they justify the signing by saying who brings size and a veteran presence to the lineup. Do you have to add, it's cool that they added it, but it's again, I feel it's almost pandering to the people that are all WTF, why did you sign this guy? I personally don't think he's a bum, but there's obviously so many people out there that are oh my God, they're going to play him on the first line. He's going to play 20 minutes a game, 25 minutes a game, which dude, he's going to be a fourth line guy, which I'm sure he's just ecstatic to be in the NHL again, after working so hard to get back.
Yeah, not many players who go over and play in the British League ever come back. I think he might be the only one, a former NHL player, to go over and play in the British League and then come back and earn an NHL contract.
So, you want to know something funny though? Let me just confirm this real quick.
I'm all
But
ears.
I believe that my my longtime one of my longtime favorite Flyers. Maybe not. Hold on a second. I gotta look at this. I thought he did. Oh, I think my man Zach Ronaldo got signed to the Flames off of a PTO, if I'm correct.
No, I know he was there this summer on a PTO. Whether or not he got signed or not, I do not know because I stopped following Zach Ronaldo many years ago.
But 3-6 Nation is back in the mix. One of my favorite Flyers. But yeah. He definitely got signed, I'm pretty sure. But what a guy. He's not playing tonight. I think he's with their AHL team.
With the Stockton Heat, probably.
Yeah, he's not on the
But
roster.
Milan
But
Lucic is in the lineup tonight,
you know
and
who
I could
also is
definitely
on the
see a
you
good
know who
tilt
also is on the
between
Flames?
Johnny Hockey.
Former Flyer legend Cam Talbot.
Cam Talbot he's their backup goalie because I'd say Dave the Save Riddick is their starter goalie now. But
Yeah.
I mean, tonight should be a good game if we just want to segue straight into that, Matt. Unless you have any more thoughts of Chris Stewart, but
No.
go.
All right, so here, bottom line for Stewart, I like it, and I think that with this new coaching staff and with this new management regime, he's going to be used in the right way, and people need to stop complaining and just actually let things play out before they overreact. So
Like
now, on to the Flyers versus Flames. That starts in about 5 minutes.
yeah, and everyone just needs to
Segue.
enjoy the product.
Yeah.
Like the Flyers are playing well, and like there hasn't been this atmosphere around this team in years. We touched on the beginning of this episode.
It's
And
not like
tonight,
it's not like we're 0-3 and we sign him. Like
or we're like
we just lost the
0-4-2
first game
like
of
the
the
New
year in a
Jersey
shootout.
Devils.
Like I don't know. Again,
Yeah,
everyone calm down.
yeah.
Go get off your computer. Go get a breath of fresh air for once. And
Enjoy a beverage,
it's
relax.
like you ever see the meme where it's like the guy like putting his fingers over someone's mouth and he says, "Shh, let people enjoy things."
It's yeah,
It's like that.
precisely.
That's basically
That's
it.
it.
Verbal meme. But yeah.
Verbal me.
All right.
And
Flyers, Flames. Let's
to,
roll.
tonight, Milan Lucic is in the lineup for the Calgary Flames, and who knows, we could be treated to a absolute of a tilt
Yeah,
if Chris
I was thinking
Stewart and
that too.
Lucic drop the mids tonight. That could be, one might say that fight could be fire.
Especially, I like that. Especially if
That dad
Lucic
joke
goes
right
after a
there.
younger guy or one of the stars, which I wouldn't put it past him to do
Oh,
that.
no, Lucic is a scumbag. I would have taken him on the Flyers like 5 years ago, but
So, all right.
now he's just washed up.
I think this is a little bit of a special segment for me, but I'm gonna name a player to watch since we
Ooh,
have a game. But my player to watch, as you mentioned his name earlier, is Jake Voracek. I'm hoping that his demotion to the third line lights a fire under his ass because we've said this before, and a lot of people know this, but when Voracek's on, he's on, but when he's off, he's off. So I'm expecting a big game from him tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if Stewart got a point. One of my friends mentioned that earlier, but I think Voracek's going to have a really strong game and hopefully make a case to get back on that top line, maybe move up the line, but I'm sure he's pissed off that he's on the third line. So
good, and rightfully so. That's one of the things I love about this new regime that we have with Fletcher and Vigneault is they're going to hold players accountable. If you're playing like dog
accountability.
shit, accountability. If you're playing like dog shit, I don't care. If you're Jake Voracek and you're making almost $9 billion, you're going to go down to the third line, buddy. And I'm sure he'll still get power play one time and all that fun stuff. Like he'll get his ice time, especially if he starts playing well. But he did take a nasty hit in that Devils game, and he didn't play so great in what I remember watching in that Vancouver game. So who knows? That's a good player to keep an eye on. Personally, for me, Matt, a player who I'm going to keep an eye on tonight is Claude Giroux. We haven't seen G. I mean, G's been in games and he's played certainly well,
Yep.
but he hasn't really gotten on the scoreboard yet. And I could see a big game from him. Also, I'm going to give another player. Tonight's starting goalie, Brian Elliott, has Moose. The Moose is loose. First time this year. He has fantastic numbers against his former club, the Calgary Flames. I believe his um, goals against average is like 1.22 or something, and he's got like a 950 save percentage or like a 940 save percentage against the Flames in his career with a very winning record against them. So look for a big game from Moose, and especially he wants to show the brass that hey, count me in as more than just a backup. I can be a tandem goalie with Carter Hart and keep this team going. So obviously the Flyers are going to use Hart tomorrow night against the Edmonton Oilers. So yeah, I either look for Claude Giroux or for Brian Elliott to have a big game for the Flyers. And as for the Flames, of course, keep an eye out for Johnny Gaudreau, South Jersey native, hopefully future Flyer one day, maybe still in his prime. He's one of the best players and one of the best goal scorers and playmakers in the league. And Sean Monahan, center for the Calgary Flames, he's got like 10 goals. Yeah, I think he's got like 12 points in 14 career games, something like that, against the Flyers in his career already. And he always seems to play well against this team. And so who knows? We could definitely be in for a treat. The Flyers, they were 1-1. They were 1-0-1 against the Flames last year, and they played well. It should be a good old-fashioned Western Canadian tilt this evening. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think the Flyers are going to win. They're going to win 4-2 tonight, Matt. If you want to give your score prediction or any other Flames players that you want to keep an eye out for.
I was thinking the same thing, 4-2. I know you mentioned Gaudreau, Monahan, right?
Mm-hmm. Elias Lindholm. Sam Bennett's in a down year, but watch for him to break out tonight.
What about Matty Tkachuk?
Oh, hey, dude's a beast. I would love him on the Flyers.
Yeah, I mean the Flames again. They're no slouch themselves. It's another. They were first in the. I think they were first in the entire Western Conference last year. So I mean,
they might have won the Pacific Division. I'm not sure if they were first overall, but they definitely might have won the Pacific Division.
Are they in the Pacific Division?
They are.
That's weird. I don't know why, but I just don't picture like Pacific, like California, but whatever. But yeah, they at least won their division, but then they obviously they were extinguished in the first round by the Avalanche.
In 5 games.
So there's another fire pun for you.
Yes, dad jokes all around here. 5 minutes radio.
Yeah, I mean, I think 4-2 is a good prediction. I was thinking that, or even like a 5-3. I think it's going to be a good game. Maybe back and forth, but I mean, again, big thing for the Flyers that they still. I mean, again, it's so early this season that I don't want to say they have to work on it, but based off of last season, scoring first is so important, especially on the road. So I think if the Flyers score first, that'll give me and also them a lot more confidence that they can win this game. So I'd say if they score the first goal, I'd bank on them winning the game.
I agree with that. Matt, I know we actually are. It's past game time now. I'm sure we probably want to get watching the game. Do you have any other quick little thoughts or tidbits we want to add in before we call this a wrap for this week's episode?
I don't think so. I guess we can nix around the league for this week.
Maybe we can do like a quick little sub episode. Maybe one of us can log on Facebook. We can do a Facebook Live or something, or we can record a FaceTime and I can upload it later. But
we'll call it not unscheduled, but scheduled circumstances have restrained us from going around the league this time around. So because we got a game to watch.
We do have a game. We do have a game to watch. I mean, around the league, real quick. Hockey's back, and it's been fantastic. There's been a lot of surprises and around the league so far. But of course, overall, hopefully tonight we end up going to bed. Oh, well, it's gonna start soon.
Yeah, but it hasn't started yet.
Well, it's 9:03. Sorry for those listening. I've been interrupted by my lovely girlfriend. Love her. She's amazing. As she flips me off. How rude of her. But
PG.
Hey, we if we want, I was informed the game hasn't started yet. So if we want to, we can do like a quick around the league segment since apparently we have time, and I'm sure.
All right, well, here we'll do this quick. So around the league, I'll just go over the scores right now. Currently, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We only have 3 games in progress right now. I'm going to go rapid fire here, so get ready. So the Maple Leafs are beating the Wild 4-1 with 15 minutes left in the third period.
Wild are absolute trash.
Yep. The Lightning are beating the Canadiens 3-1 with 18 minutes left on the third period. Yep. That game is on NBC Sports Network. No free ads.
Get it, Mastro? Shocking.
Yeah. Oh, good one. Good one. The dad jokes are flowing tonight. I love it.
I am a dad joke king.
The Yotes and the Jets are knotted at 1 with the second period is just underway there. Some late games tonight. We have the Red Wings and the Canucks at 10 o'clock. The Predators and the Golden Knights again at 10 o'clock. And we have those jerks from Carolina, the Carolina Hurricanes, against the LA Kings at 10:30. So that's tonight's slate.
Be a good game.
And that is your Around the League news brought to you by me.
Lovely segment, sir. Lovely segment.
We should do that every week. We'll just go rapid fire around the league.
Yeah, especially if there's 2 seconds. Yeah, it's not too hard. And of course, tomorrow night the Flyers are back in action against the Connor McDavid and James Neal led Edmonton Oilers.
And Leon Draisaitl.
Oh, Leon Draisaitl, yeah, too. That line of Draisaitl. Well, in the power play, it's Draisaitl, McDavid, and Neal. But then the other line is the normal top line for the Flames is Zach Kassian with James Neal and Connor McDavid, and that's got your line, scoring, speed, sandpaper, etc. And how about James Neal? Stick taps to him. Had all his 7 goals last year for the Calgary Flames. Goes to Edmonton, and doesn't he already have 8 goals this season?
Yep.
So we're like 2 weeks into the season, he's got 8 goals already, more than what he had last year. So good for James Neal. Kind of hated him when he was a Penguin, obviously, but good for him now. He's always been one of the league's best power forwards and snipers in the league. But Matt, I think that's just about going to do it for this week's episode of 5 Minute Radio. Of course, everyone, this will be available on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, etc. later. Thank you for always subscribing and listening. Obviously, pay attention for things going forward. We're always looking to have guests come on. Like, you could be a Stavi or a Hoagie, anyone. As long as you have Skype and you want to talk Flyers hockey, just let Mastro and I know, and definitely you can come on this program. And other than that, everyone enjoy your night. Hopefully, next time you see us back, we're talking about a string of Flyers wins, because besides tonight and tomorrow, they then return home Saturday to play the Dallas Stars, where the first 1,000 fans in the arena get a Flyers beer stein. 10,000 fans?
Yeah.
So I unfortunately can't make the game, but my sister's going, so that's where my beer steins are coming from, because she's not going to get them. What?
I'll take one.
Oh, yeah, of course you're going to get one. I'm going to get one, and you're going to get one, because Ashley doesn't drink beer, and Dylan doesn't drink beer, because he thinks all beer tastes the same. Silly Dylan.
Make sure there are 10,000 in there, then.
Oh, I will make sure they're there. Right. But yeah, Matt, we've got a game to watch. I've got a podcast to upload. Everyone enjoy your night, and let's go Flyers.